Welcome, 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 welcome. We meet every week to join, hello, our subconscious minds, and with our subconscious minds, we join together to unite with the infinite subconscious mind. And as we do that, we see what messages, what lessons that we have that comes through. So, if you would, I'm going to ask you to begin by doing a unification of the mind, of the subconscious mind, and how we do that is with an ancient prayer. And this ancient prayer, welcome. This ancient prayer, it goes like this. If you'll just find a comfortable place, uncross everything, and just close your eyes for a moment, and envision as I lead us all through this. As we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe, and we ask for strength, protection, and guidance. And as we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe, and we ask for strength, protection, and guidance. As we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe, and we ask for strength, protection, and guidance. And the last time. As we breathe in all the positive cosmic energy of the universe, and we ask for a complete unification with the infinite subconscious mind and ours. And so, as we come back into the present, and wherever you're tuning in tonight, whether it be in Asia, Europe, if you're just waking up in the Africans, wherever you may be, we welcome you, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining your subconscious minds with our subconscious minds to see what message is going to be shared from you. From you. There's a power. There's a power in a number of things. There's a power in a light switch, and there's a potential power, I should say, in a light switch. The power already exists in everything. There's a potential power when you turn your key on in your car. The potential power that exists in all of our lives is the power of resolve. The power of resolve. And that power comes about when you reach a point in your life that says, that's it. That is it, right there. I'm not going to play a small game anymore. It doesn't do me any good to play a small game. It doesn't do anyone else any good to play for me playing a small game. This is what I want. This is what I am. This is what I'm going to create. At this point. And when you get to that type of a resolve, it's not wishful thinking. It's what we call causative action. Now, many people, they talk about the effect of things and how being effective. We do not here. We talk about causing what we want to occur in our lives. Because we believe that we are creators. That's why we exist, is to create. The power of resolve, I think a good example of it is actually from my son. One of my sons, I have 5. My second son, he just came back from a second tour of duty in the war. The first tour of duty, he was on a front operating base in Iraq. And it was a dangerous time. He made it through his tour of just over a year, came back for a year, and then went back to the front line in Afghanistan. And this was fighting every day. And he shared stories, for instance, where he would, one day he was running late, made some other people late, in his unit, and so they were all getting down on him, even the captain, to rush him along. 3 of the striker vehicles pulled out before him. And finally, as they pulled out a few minutes later, they immediately got word to stop. Those 3 striker units were hit. Every man on those vehicles and the vehicles themselves were completely destroyed. Another time in December, just before Christmas holiday, he said, "Dad, God is great." I said, "Well, yes, God is great." He said, "No, God is really great." He said, "I was working all day. I was exhausted. I came back to the tent." They sleep in these large tents with a number of men. "I came back to the tent that night. I couldn't hardly move. I laid down on the cot. But I heard a friend of mine just get the mail, and he got a Nintendo game, one of the handheld Nintendo games. And he says, 'You know how much I love video.' He said, 'I could hear him playing over there.' And he said, 'You know what?' I said, 'Get up.' And I said, 'No, I'm too tired.' 'Get up.' And he said, I got up. He went over there, 'Hey, man, can I have a turn?' He said, 'Sure, here.' And just when he handed him the game, he said, they heard it come through. Shoo! Bam! And they said, 'What was that?' They looked around. A bullet had shot through the tent, hit the footlocker, a metal footlocker, ricocheted off the footlocker, and came right back in the cot where he was laying. This is an everyday occurrence. So I said, "Jason, how does it make you feel every day? I mean, you're under firefights every day, the bombs and so forth. How do you deal with this?" He said, "I came to a resolve." I said, "Really? What's the resolve?" He said, "I refuse to die in the battle. I tell myself that every morning. I tell myself that throughout the day. I tell myself at night when I'm going to sleep. I refuse to die in the battle." Whatever battle that you're facing, if you refuse to die in that battle, if you give yourself that type of a resolve, success is inevitable. If you say that this is what I want for my life to be, success is inevitable. Now, of course, we're talking about coming to the resolve and then going into action to make that resolve into a reality. I don't know of a single skyscraper that built itself. But I do know that every single building that is out there, that there was a resolve somewhere at the beginning of that state that said, this is what will be erected. What are you erecting in your life right now? It's exactly whatever you have set the resolve to be. You might want to be careful because a lot of people get a little confused in this and they are resolving to create the wrong thing. If you're having some confusion in your life, if you're having a great deal of confusion especially, you're probably having a resolve that you will have a confusing life. You will have chaos on a regular basis in your life. And when it doesn't, you will create it. Now, when you create it, you may blame it on something else. You may blame it on a demon of some sort, or you may blame it on God forsaking you, or whatever. But you created it. You created this moment. If you got up in Beijing, China, and you turned on your computer this morning, and to tune into this, you created this moment. If you came here in person, and I came here in person, we wouldn't play a game saying this is some type of a divine plan. We would say, no, we decided, and we created. And that's the way that it is. What does your life look like? If it is not what you want it to be, then you have to start deciding to come up with a different resolve. Why not have the resolve of power? Why not have the resolve of peace? A peaceful power is not a bad idea. Why not have the resolve to only have prosperity in your life? Even when there's lack, you will only look at the things that you have, so that you will only recognize prosperity. And if you have nothing but your hands, well, then that could be a prosperous thing as well. Hands are good. If you don't have those, at least you have your mind. We can always keep on going back further and further and further. Going back into the elements, into the fundamentals of it all. Sometimes we get so caught up in the extrinsic complications of it, of life, that we forget that no, at any time we can reserve the right to bring it right back down into the fundamentals, into the basics, sort the pieces through, and from there build exactly what you want. You don't have to keep pushing on. If you're pushing on, you're doing the wrong thing. It's in the flow. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be busy. It doesn't mean that you're not going to strategize and say, okay, here's the steps that need to be done right now, and I will expediently exhaust those steps in the creation process of what I want. But it does mean that you don't need to push that to occur. It will just naturally occur if you just do 1 to 3 things on a regular basis. If you don't feel like doing those 1 to 3 things, then you have come to the resolve of staying stuck exactly where you are. It's not really a magical thing. It's not really a mystifying thing of saying, how is this happening to me? How am I broke? How am I sick? How am I lonely? How am I in this situation? How are my precious things not selling? How am I not selling myself better? It's because you're coming up with the wrong resolve. You're coming to the resolve of making sure those things don't happen. Refuse to die in the battle. Refuse to die in the battle and only allow yourself to be in constant expansion. And the constant expansion is what life is about. It was not ever meant to be contracting. This is a learned pattern. We won't get into how this was learned, but you can figure it out instantly because your subconscious mind is connected to the infinite subconscious mind that knows everything. But you don't have to contract with fear, with limitation, with challenges, seeming challenges before you. What you do is instead just go with the expansion of the miracles that you are. That you have a divine right. And who gave you that divine right? Well, you can say it's a supernatural being. You can say that it's God. You can say it's whatever. But what gave you that ability is the infinite intelligence. The infinite intelligence of it all. You see, human beings, we work in a definitive manner. We say, I am Michael, and see how I am contained in this definition. And we say, this is a building. It has parameters and perimeters. And we then can function with it because we can relate with it, we can manipulate it, and we can interact with it. But that's not how it is. The truth of the matter is that in infinity, there are no barriers. There are no limitations. There are no parameters or perimeters. It's infinite. And so when we are constantly referencing everything in definitiveness, having to have a definition for it, and getting scared and refusing to step into any place that we cannot define, such as a new territory, a change in life, a change in a person in our life, a change in jobs, a change in business, a change in how we're doing things. If we can't do that, guess what? You're done. You're done. It's not my rule. You know this. You know what I'm saying. You're saying this. The only way you're not done is when you say, you know what? I'm going to relax the definition of my life and just be. And what are you going to be? I'm going to be my infinite self, my limitless self. I'm not going to listen to anyone, including myself, when anything comes up to say, well, wait a second. Don't you know math well enough? Don't you know finance well enough? Don't you know psychology well enough? Don't you know mechanics or anything else well enough to know that that is not possible? Don't you know that there is a recession in the world right now? And you want to start a business? You want to expand your business? You want to change jobs? Relocate? What is wrong with you? Let me help you by crippling you with definitions of what you should and what you shouldn't do. No. The truth is, no one can. No one can, including yourself. You have to work hard to keep yourself contained. You have to work very hard to continue to contract. If you have fear and you don't feed fear on a regular basis, it goes away. You have to constantly feed fear. And bring in other resources, like the media and people that we love, right? So that they can tell us the negative things out there. And we're wondering, why is it that we're not living the life that we want, that we're not achieving the things that we want in life? Now, some people will say, thank you very much, doctor, I appreciate it. I see that you're talking to everyone else except for me, because, see, I have some things that I want in my life. Good. Do you have anything that you don't want in your life? Well, yes, but don't we all? No. No, we don't all. So you're going like a 50-50 life or a 60-40 life? What are you going to do here? Some statistics on me? Saying that this is the justification? That you're only like 60% worth it? No. You're 100% worth it. The contraction is, the expansion is the norm. When things don't go that way, that's abnormal. This is abnormal. That's normal. What are you doing? You are working hard to create the confusion in your life. You are working very hard to maintain that confusion in your life. It doesn't have to be that way. Here's how it goes. You take a deep breath. And you say, you know what? I'm going to take the step. And you take the step. Now, everyone says, I'm going to take the step. A few of us actually take the step. Many of us will try to take the step, but it gets a little scary, so we hold on for a minute, okay? Let me just hold on for a minute. I will get to that step, but not yet. I'm not there yet. Well, why aren't you there yet? Because definition, limitation, challenges, and all these other things. If you believe in an infinite intelligence, regardless of what you call it, Allah, God, Abba, I don't care. If you believe in an infinite intelligence, and you believe that you are somehow connected to this, whatever way that you want it to be, but you're connected to it, if you're connected to it, that means that actually you have that. Would you look at the infinite intelligence and say, you know what? I know that you are infinite, but you must be limited. The infinite intelligence would say, you're not making any sense. You're totally ignorant, and you cannot even be in my presence because, see, I'm infinite intelligence. But that's what we're saying. That's what we're saying to ourselves. If you're saying I'm lost, if you're saying I don't know what to do, if you're saying what's the next step, or I can't take the next step because, that's what you're saying. Now you can contest, protest, or detest anything I'm saying. I don't really care. It's not going to make me any richer, any smarter, any more loving. So I don't really care. But you do. You definitely do. Because it will make you richer, smarter, and more loving. I'm already there. I'm not here today for any other reason than to serve you. To serve you with anything that I could possibly do, including coming up to you and saying, wake up! It's time to get up! When we were young, maybe you had a parent to say, it's time to get up, to go to school, to learn. That was a nice thing, wasn't it? Not really, right? Oh, no, not now. And we're still saying it to ourselves. Oh, not now, Michael. Not now. Can you come back like next year after the 2012 prophecy? Because, that way there, I might be more interested in hearing what you have to say. But not right now, okay? Don't you see, I got a job, I got a wife, I got kids, I got this, I got that going. I got a lot of things going here. And I got to make up my mind on these things because I don't even know what to do next. Really? You know what to do. Why are you playing a terrible game with yourself? I love it as a consultant, as a business consultant. I walk into people's lives so many times, and in their businesses, in their personal lives, and I work with them. And at the end of the session, they give me large sums of money, and they say, thank you very much. And it's really an amazing job because I just think, they knew all along. I just gave them permission to do what they already knew. As I walked into the Chrysler boardroom one day, and there was Lee Iacocca at the head table. Oh, Dr. Duckett, welcome. And I said, oh, thank you, Mr. Iacocca, one of my great people that I admired in my life. I said, thank you, Mr. Iacocca, I appreciate that. And I stood up a little bit straighter, tugged my suit like that, and kept on walking. He said, the expert. I said, oh, thank you. And you know what an expert is? No, Mr. Iacocca, what's that? And everyone's like turning around on the board to listen to the big chief. He said, well, an expert is someone who knows exactly what we do, but you're from out of town. That's what an expert is, right? So that's what I am in your head right now. I'm not telling you anything new. Maybe your grandmother told you this, but you didn't listen to her. That was your grandmother. Maybe your mother shared it with you on her lap, and you didn't listen to her. And maybe you're not listening to me tonight. For whatever reason, you're putting up the barriers because you don't have control over it. You're justifying and rationalizing the whole process along the way. Yeah, but you don't know me. You don't know my situation. Your situation is my situation. My situation is your situation. It's a situation. A situation, every situation is very dynamic. It's very fluid. Ask anyone who has faced any disaster in their life, right? Going great, blown apart. Back together, blown apart again, and back together better. Wow, we're just like going back and forth here, right? Going back and forth. What is that? Creation. We're creating disaster and creating it back together. But why are people choosing more of the disaster? I don't know. Well, I do know. I do know. You know. It's because you're not allowing yourself to know. I don't know. Yes, I do know. I'm allowing myself to know now. And if you allow yourself to know, you have all the answers that you need. At this point in time, you have all the answers that you can handle. Some people seek the wisdom of the holy books, the wisdom of God, or the wisdom of the gods, depending on your religious beliefs. If you had a teaspoon of that wisdom, your head would explode. So what would you do with it? Just go with where you're at right now and know that you have all the answers at your fingertips, and then proceed, and you will be given the wisdom that you can handle at this point and the next point and the next point until you start to appreciate the fact that you can handle it all, and that's when you are given the infinite intelligence. What the ancients and some today even call enlightenment. Enlightenment. What is enlightenment? Enlightenment. Well, that just means that we're lighter. It means that we're brighter. Brighter and lighter. It means that, well, if you're brighter and lighter, not only are you out of the darkness, you're actually something above this physical, three-dimensional world that has the limitations of wakefulness. Isn't it amazing? We can have whatever we want at any time. In a divine way. In a prime divine way. But we justify ourselves out from creating it. And instead, we fall back with reasons why we shouldn't. I refuse to die in the battle. I refuse to die in the battle. Whatever you are challenged with, refuse to die in that. Get over it. Let it go. You have the power. Look back, if you would, for just a moment. Close your eyes and look back for just a moment on a time in your life that you faced an insurmountable odds as far as a challenge goes. Think of that one time. Now, think of how you overcame that time. What was it? Was it someone? Was it something that just pinged into your life? Was it a miracle, which is just simply the unexplainable event or happening that can't be explained with science or nature? What is it? What was it? Here's what's more important now. At that time, when you overcame that, how'd that feel? How does that feel? That's what life is. That's what life is. That's what you're supposed to have every moment. So when you take the step, that feels better than not taking the step. If there's fears and everything else, use a laughing technique and and push them behind you. Don't worry about even eliminating them at this time, because that might just take too much precious energy and time. Instead, proceed with the next step, and the next step after that, until you reach the destination of your choice, the results that you desire in your life. If your business is down, you know what to do. There's formulas for this. If your life is down, you know what to do. There are formulas for this. And by the way, they're the same formula. You increase your production, increase your communication, and increase your exchange. If you're having a challenge with another person in your life, a significant other, you increase your production towards that relationship. You produce more in that relationship. You communicate more in that relationship. And you give more than you receive. If your business is down, you produce more in that business. You communicate, also known as market. And if you don't have the money to market, well, get up there and yell it from your rooftop. And you exchange more. So when someone thinks that they're coming in to spend $20, you're giving them $500. And they're like, whoa, this is just almost too much. And there will be some people who will say, that's too much. Have to get away from that. You know, they can't handle it because they're not used to that type of blessing. But what happens is that the first time that you put on anything, it might feel a little bit awkward, right? The king puts on his robe for the first time if he has never been king before, but now, for whatever reason, he has found himself in the king's chambers and says, well, I made it. I'm king. And so he says it's time to go to the throne, and I should put on my robe. He puts on his robe. He says, wow, it feels good, but it feels awkward. It feels awkward, but it feels good, but it's different. And so he goes out there, and he sits in the throne, and he says, feels good, but it feels a little awkward. It's different. Yes, these are all changes. Even good change feels awkward. But in a short period of time, it feels right. The new blessings that you have created actually feels right, and the old ways feel awkward. It's all a big upside down, confusing passing on of misinformation. this point in history, we rely upon the truth. The truth resonates in your soul. As I'm saying these things, I'm not saying I'm speaking the truth. You're the one to say if I'm speaking the truth or not. If it resonates with you and you say yes, then it's the truth, even if it's not the truth. It's the truth for you and for me. I say don't believe a single thing I say. Instead, go out and try it. If you start to go out and apply these things and your life changes, as I'm hearing every day from people around the world, wow, my life is just so different. I'm looking at things different. The colors have changed. People's faces have changed. Everything has changed. I'm actually becoming prosperous in many ways. More loving. More understanding. More wealthy. That doesn't hurt. All of these things start to go good for you. Then you know that that's a truth for you. That's a truth for you. And this is what you are demanding at this point. People in different religious settings, they're going there and they have been maybe walking that path for a long time and attending it from almost a robotic way, saying that this is what I'm supposed to do. But as they're sitting in their place, whatever that place of worship may be, it could be a church, a temple, a mosque, whatever that place of worship is, they're sitting there and thoughts are coming into their head. This is very nice. But I think that there's something more. Where is that coming from? I think there's something more. Where is that feeling coming from? It hasn't existed for thousands of years. Why is it existing today? Why would that come to someone's mind today? 25 years ago, 50 years ago, it wouldn't have come to their minds. They would have been sitting in there very content, singing and rejoicing and praying and everything else. But not now. A lot of people are saying there has to be something more. And when they're saying that, they're calling out is what they're doing. They don't recognize that they understand that there is something more. They don't recognize that they can find something more, but they are saying there must be something more. It's a declaration. And there is more. There's always going to be more. That's just the human nature of it. You're never going to be satisfied. You don't want to be. The reason why you're never satisfied is because you're in constant expansion. If you were satisfied, you would stop the expansion, and then you would start a contraction. That's just not how any life exists anywhere in the universe. That's what it's about. It's about you. About you recognizing, you connecting, and you saying, the time for me to recognize my connection, because it already exists, but recognize my connection and then utilize that connection is now. It does not take away from any religious belief. It should enhance that. But more than anything, it should enhance you. You will feel that you have more energy. You will feel that you have more focus. You will feel that you have more life. And when you're feeling this, it's because you do. That's what it is. You have more of these things. You have more of these things because once you recognize it, you've expanded. You've expanded to a new level of life. And that new level of life is a level of creator, the level of the purpose of the human being. And that's why we are now, at this point in history, saying, I am ready to recognize the connection of my infinite subconscious mind to be one with the infinite mind, or the infinite subconscious mind that exists. And that infinite subconscious mind is only creative. It's only creative. And it's only creative based upon what you want. not what is. If it was created upon only of what is, it wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be able to create. It was said in the beginning of this universe, there is nothing, so nothing can be created. I'm done. No, it goes upon whatever demand is put upon it. That is what is created. So if you say, I can't find that in my life, whatever that is for you, you're not putting the demand upon the infinite subconscious mind, the infinite creator within you, and so it cannot create. You have to constantly walk around saying, at this point in time, it's in creation. It is being created at this point in time in its fullest extent. And when you are walking in that form, other things start to occur. You'll see that human beings will interact with you differently. You'll see that serendipity will just be part of your life. Synchronicity will just be an everyday occurrence. Actually, that you can actually start to expect those things. Miracles, well, of course, miracles, what else would you have? Because there is no definitiveness, and miracles are just simply, once again, events or things that occur that are beyond our understanding in science or nature, which means without definition. And so that would be only expected from me. I expect, a dozen miracles before I get out of bed in the morning. At least a dozen. It's because that's the only thing that I would expect. Doesn't mean that we don't slip. We are living in the three-dimensional world. The best baseball player will miss a swing once in a while. The greatest minds will overlook a simple equation once in a while. You'll forget a word in the middle of a sentence once in a while. You'll forget who you are once in a while. And when you do, laugh. Laugh. It's a joking matter, actually, because you can't forget who you are, but maybe you will forget it in this conscious mind, which is different than the subconscious mind. In the conscious mind, that is limited, that is definitive. And in that mind, you can forget. But it's all right. Ease yourself back into reality, the reality of infinity in the subconscious mind. At this time, I'd like to ask you, what are you feeling? Now, we have people all over the world, and some of your questions. Right now, we are actually, in my total belief, we are connected with whoever is tuning into this. And since I believe that, it is. Since I believe I have this jacket on, I do. Whatever I believe, it is. And whatever you believe, it is. So there's someone out there, possibly in another place in the world, another place in this country, that has a question, a thought, something to share. And we have just a handful of people here. What might be on your mind? What would you like to share? Do you have a question? Okay.
I find that I have this habit that when I see my life going in a direction or something coming my way that I'm trying to create, there's a part of me that hears in my head, I don't want to get my hopes up, I don't want to jinx it, even though I know when I'm conscious that it's safe to get my hopes up because I'm creating it. Is there a way to change, can you suggest a way to change that habit of that little bug, little self-talk? I just want to get to a place in my life where that doesn't even exist anymore. That whenever
Awesome.
I see things going great, I just continue to see it going that direction.
Yes. What you're really talking about is becoming vulnerable. vulnerable to your life. And vulnerability is the prerequisite for love. You cannot be in love unless you're vulnerable. Because you got to just give it up. You can eat my heart, but here it is. Right? And now, that's one thing when we're doing it with another person, but we can only do that with another person, as we said in the past, according to how we can do it with ourselves. So what you're really saying when you are having any type of trepidation or hesitation, reservation about things moving forward in your life.
Just the potential. I mean, things are going great, but I see the possibility, just because it's life.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to just see it perfect.
Well, that's actually, if you want to see it perfect, that's exactly what you have. You have that choice. But it takes vulnerability to take the choice of saying, I will only see it perfect. So as life comes by and goes, bam, you go, I think it's perfect. I contributed to that somehow. My face was in the way. Whatever because I always wanted to have at least contribution. Now in my life where I'm at, I've worked really hard at that principle. So I'm really to the point of responsibility for almost all things in my life, and the things I'm not responsible for, I can still fall back and say, I contribute to it. Anything at all. And everything in my life. Now that's part of it. The other though is when I am saying that is perfect. What happens is that I start to change the pieces around with my subconscious mind. I change the pieces around so it becomes perfect. Right? And whatever is before you, and that it doesn't mean that incident is perfect. It's that incident is a part of the perfection. And we can play with this with so many infinite variables that we can go on for years saying, and here's another variable of that incident. So a guy is in a bar, and he's sitting there minding his own business. A couple other guys walk in. They think they recognize him. That's the guy that took your girlfriend away. It wasn't, but they think that it was. So these guys are a little less what we call livingness, which is a lower intelligence. So they walk up to the guy and they tap him on the shoulder. The guy turns, wham! Bam! He falls out on the floor. He's unconscious. They call EMS. He wakes up in the ambulance. He's missing some teeth. He's bleeding. And he's sore and swollen. He said, what happened? You got punched? Okay. Now, the guy, he says, you know what? I'm not really sure, but I have been tuning into these strange meetings, and I'm going to declare that this is going to be a good thing. And so he says, good thing. I don't know. Good thing, okay? And he gets better at it. Good thing. Good thing. And an ambulance races to the hospital. Goes into the hospital. And this is a one, ad lib variable as far as a potential variable that could occur. So he goes in the hospital. He's in the emergency room. And all of a sudden, they say, hey, we're going to do some x-rays and a CAT scan of your head. This is a pretty bad injury. And they said, well, we found a blood clot. So then they do the surgery, and then he will him out of the surgery into the recovery. And said, well, you need to spend the night. And into the room he goes. And he's still saying all along, I am choosing because I get to choose. And so I am now on this path of expansion. So I'm only going to recognize, not to be Pollyanna, not to be in denial. I don't really care about all that, psychobabble stuff. I don't really care about that. What I care about is what's going on in my life. Is it going my way? Because I'm creating it that way. And so I say, hey, it's still good. This is wonderful. It's getting better. Wow, the blood clot, that it is surgery, they caught the blood clot. Hey, that is a good thing, That is a good thing right there within itself. So he's laying in his bed in his room, and all of a sudden, he's a single guy. Some gal walks in the room and says, oh, sorry, wrong room. Looks at him. He looks at her. Hey, wait a second. What's your name? It's so-and-so. I'm here to see my sister. Yeah, so-and-so. Hey, stop for some... Do you feel what I feel? Yeah. What is this? And next thing you know, they're married, they have children, they have a happy life. All because he got punched in the face. And now you play by that story. You create your own variables because you're doing it every day. Only difference is you're choosing to have a sad ending, to have a bad ending. Change it. Be vulnerable to your life. And when you know that that is coming up, what that is self-worth. It's self-worth. You know what? Things are going great for me, so anytime now, it's going to start falling apart. Sure, it's a sunny day. You know it's going to be raining by this afternoon. I washed my car. I mean, come on. That doesn't do anything except create those things and worse. I like to wash my car on a cloudy day with a 70%, 80% chance of rain. And the people are like, you sure? Yeah, wash it. And then I go through the day and the sun comes out and I go, just the way I created it. I don't even blink an eye, just the way I created it. Just the way you created it. So when those things come in your mind, it's not like out of control, like some monster's like attacking you. Ah, you're not worthy. Yeah, it's gonna fall apart. No, you can't control it. No, anytime you just go, you know what? Isn't that funny? I used to think that way. I used to think, oh, it's all gonna fall apart. You don't deserve it. No, you know what? I deserve every single thing. I only deserve things to go right. When they don't go right, I'm like, hey, I like it because I know it's gonna give me rightness in the end, no matter what it is. And what happens is the impact starts to become minimized from all the negative things, and you start to forget that you don't deserve, and you start to become more vulnerable then. Listen to that part. Listen to that part. That is so important. That's the key question that if you want to know the secrets of life, if you want to know the secrets of happiness, of prosperity, in anything at all, that's the secret right there. The vulnerability. The knowing that you deserve and the vulnerability saying, you know what, I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but I'm going for it. It looks like I'm going to completely blow apart, but I'm going to keep walking. And you make it. Wherever you are in life, someone desires to be there. Someone would love to have your talent, love to have your house or your apartment. They would love to have your legs, or they would love to have your eyes or any other part of your life. Some part of your life, there's someone that would love to have it. But they're not allowing themselves to do it because they're not allowing themselves to be vulnerable enough to take the step and the next step and the next step and the next step. They're using their logical, conscious mind, their limited, logical, conscious mind to talk themselves out of everything. And that's why, if you listen to that part, you can immediately, not tomorrow morning, not a New Year's or your birthday or anything like that, you immediately take a deep breath and breathe it in and say, from this time on, that's it. That's it. I'm doing what I want to do. I will try to figure out the best I can, but I'm not going to get hung up on the details. What I'm going to get hung up on is the fact that that's the results I want in my life, and that's what I'm only going to be satisfied with. And you know what? This is not my stuff. Ask anyone who's made it. Ask anyone who's made it where you would like to be, and they'll tell you what you do. You decide the results that you want, and you go for it. No matter what limitations you have around you, just go for it, become vulnerable, and just walk through it. And when anything comes up counter to what you deserve, push those thoughts away. Push them away. Just dissolve them away. We get to have the right to choose what we think about. Then why are we choosing the wrong thoughts? Now, there are principles and there are laws, and some of these laws and principles, again, have been manipulated to give us a confusion around it. One of the confusing points is prayer. Prayer wasn't designed to be, please, Lord, please, I need this, please, please, please. Now, how many times have you done the please, 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 And it came true. Really and truly. How many times? I mean, really. If you were honest with yourself, and you didn't try to, again, manipulate the results saying, well, it sort of did a little bit, remotely, but I'll still count that. Probably never or very, very, very few times. But how it was originally designed is to know. You already knew it took place. And what that was is actually, they didn't know what it was called back then. It was the subconscious mind. You just know, subconsciously, you just know that it's already taken place, and that's the only way that you expect it to. Tithing. Giving. That is not really the way that it's designed. That was just another manipulation. It was, first of all, the 10% figure was taken from the taxation laws. It was because the taxation laws in ancient times, it was 10% of your income went to pay taxes, and then the tax collectors, like even, one of the apostles was a multimillionaire because the tax collectors got to receive a percentage of the taxes they collected. So that was a really good job. And so again, the churches go, I like that idea. So I know, hey, God has a tax law too, and we're going to call it tithing. So you pay your taxes to the government, and you give us 10% too, okay? And then what we do, you give 10%, and then God shows some favoritism to you, okay? He's going to give you better health, and he's going to give you a better person in your life, and more money, of course. It doesn't work that way. Come on, people. This is 2012. It's not 1012. It's not 12. It's not 12 BC. It's 2012. Does that type of process even make sense that an infinite mind would even come remotely close to that? Or would it be more like, I'm going to give, now I feel like I can receive that, I feel like I deserve more because I'm giving more. Yeah, if I want to build a building and I'm pounding the nails, I expect at the end a building is erected because I'm giving to that building. And the same in our lives. What is it that you have in your life right now that you want? Well, then you give. You give to make it happen. Now, some people say, well, can I give time? Sure, you can give whatever you want. Whatever you want to produce. You give time, you get more time. You give love, you get more love. You give money, you get more money. I mean, whatever it is that you want, that's what you get in the flow of, because it's your subconscious mind. You can't trick it. It's infinitely intelligent. You can't go, well, maybe I'll give time and some charity time and all that, and I'll get some points around that, won't I? No. If you want. There's no superconductor computer up there that is going to do that otherwise. Yes.
So can we do that?
Give?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What are you feeling about that?
Just for you to talk more about that,
Okay.
because it's always worked in my life. I always have more than enough to share. I flow money easily.
Yes, you do.
And I'm continually giving.
Okay.
And I want to continue to do that and share that with others, how it works.
Okay. Here, wherever you're at in the world right now, I'm going to ask you to reach into your pocket and pull out some money. And I want you to pull out some money, and I want you to give that to a charity, something that you feel is in need. But give it anonymously. The reason why you want to give it anonymously is because you don't want your subconscious mind to kick in and say, well, look, I get recognition, so that's my payback. No, you don't want that. You want to get in the flow of it. You are a creator. Get in the creative flow of it. And so in order to get in the creative flow of it, reach in there, get some money, and give it away. Give it away anonymously, so wherever you're giving it, it can't be traced back to you. Only you know. That's the power. And when you think of it as fertilizer, what is it that you have? What is it that you want in your life right now? And you think of this as fertilizer. You put this money out there and say, this is the fertilizer for what I want. Mm-hmm. And your subconscious mind says, well, I gave, so I deserve to receive. Don't send it to me. Don't send it to me, because if you send it to me, I'm going to give it away too. Give it away. Give it away at your point. And when you're giving it away, you'll see that you'll be in the flow of it. Now, another comment, question, thought. This is for you.
The example that you had us visualize earlier about it, well, for me it was a traumatic experience and how I got through it. All of them actually, several came to mind, and all of them, I didn't have time to think. I acted intuitively and did what was necessary without second guessing. It's very easy to understand that example and how it could be identical to any other non-traumatic event. Just if I want something manifest, stop thinking, co-create, that kind of thing. I don't have it quite formed yet, but I mean, there's a very good connection in the very same reactive qualities you are in a traumatic experience could apply in a joyous.
Yes, yes, exactly. I like to share a personal thing I shared with some of you before. One of the most dramatic experiences of my life was to find my son dead. That was dramatic. And then after that, just having that flashback of that experience coming back to me over and over again. And this son was a son, and he was my mentor, my student, my teacher, my friend, my everything. I have 6 children, but this is my oldest son, Michael Jr., my namesake. From the moment he came into the world, there was a connection, not like a proud dad, it was a remembrance, it felt like, all the way through. And his first word was God. At 5 years old, he said, "Dad, I need to ask you an important question." He came home from kindergarten. I said, "Yes." He said, "I want to know who God's God is." I said, "Well, God doesn't have a God." He said, "God has a God." He said, "It only makes sense." And he explained to me why it made sense. He was that type of a guy. So this is what I lost. And this is what I had flashing back when I could just see him lying there. But I said, I had a choice. We all come to the crossroad of life. And the crossroad of life, when we're talking about these devastating times, is this is going to destroy me, or this is going to make me better. If it destroys me, then good. I get to walk around with the identity of, oh, I'm destroyed by this terrible event. And everyone says, I understand. I would be too, some people would say. I would be worse. That doesn't really help, but that's what they're relating to. But no, I chose the other. Because I said, you know what? When those flashbacks occur, they're in my head. So I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to deal with myself. First of all, I'm going to think of some great times, like when we spent 6 weeks in the Grand Canyon together and went and saw many other parts of the world that people don't see. And the expression on his face, and when we picked up a 3,500-year-old piece of pottery that no one has ever picked up before. And I remember the expression on his face. I want to remember those. And I got to choose. So as I got in the habit of it, and I'd have a flashback, and I would replace it with the other, with my decided thoughts, then it became empowering. Then I decided, you know what, I'm not going to dwell on his death, which actually his birthday is tomorrow. I'm not going to dwell on his death. I'm going to dwell on his life. I'm not going to dwell on the fact of what I'm missing. I'm going to dwell on the fact that I had 23 great years with this guy. Amazing guy. And I got to be the one to call his father? Wow, cool. And then I get to say, the worst experience of my entire life has become the best experience of my life. It has shown me things inside of me, in the depths of me, the lowest of lows in me that I didn't even know existed, and the power in me that I didn't even know could come out of it all. What a wonderful thing. And that's how all of it can be. That's how it all can be. It's your choice. Again, you get to choose on your particular challenges and devastation. I get to choose on mine. In mine, it says, life is perfect. And then
And
Getting better.
it's getting better. Life is perfect and it's getting better. That's exactly what it is. And then that's what takes place.
So I put money in the hat, and then I just got handed 10 times what I put in.
Ah!
Handed.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Okay?
That's how it works.
That quick.
Well, here we go, everyone. This is really, this is a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for me. I hope, I know it was a lot of fun for you. In some aspect of it, something resonated with you, because it was you. It was you. I'm just speaking for all of us, for all of you out there, wherever you are in the world. I'm just speaking for you. Like I said, you know some of this already, and some of it gave you a different approach. What some would say a different perspective. I would say a different approach to a different perspective, because you're already changing. Your perspective is already in a dynamic mode. So now you have a different approach. And as you are going into this week, I'm going to ask you to think of your expansiveness. I'm going to end this with just a brief exercise on expansiveness. If you would, just close your eyes for just a moment and uncross everything really quick. And I want you to feel what this is really like. As you are sitting wherever you're sitting, imagine that your body just melts away, and in its place is just an electrical field. Electricity has an infinity about it. And in this electrical field, you still maintain a form momentarily. And where your heart would be in this form, imagine that a bright light appears, a bright white light. And it intensifies. It's intensified to the point it's past the flash of a flash cube or a flash on a camera. It's past the sun. It's bright. And it begins to expand quickly, very quickly. And it expands to where now it expands your whole entire electrical body. It expands through wherever you're sitting, throughout the room, and anyone that's in that room. It expands throughout the building, outside the building, and it continues to expand very rapidly. And it's expanding throughout the city or town where you're at. And it continues to expand very rapidly throughout the state or the country where you're located. And it continues to expand very rapidly around this little pebble called Earth. And it continues now to expand. You're expanding out into the universe. And it expands into space. And then deep space very rapidly. There is no containment to this energy. And you're expanding to the limits of the universe. And then beyond that. That's who you really are. Take a deep breath and come back into this. If you liked what you shared this week, tell others. Bring others. If it was exactly what you needed, so does someone else. You containing this within yourself is not a fair thing, first of all, and it's not a living thing. The living thing is to expand. Tell others, hey, this is something that you may be interested in. Check it out. I don't need any more championships in my life. I've championed enough. I've accomplished more than what I had set out for in this lifetime. So I don't really need the accolades or the recognition at this point in my life. What I need is you. You to experience your infinity, your creativity. And when you're expanding to that degree, at that point, I need you to experience what it's like to be a human who is being. Then you recognize the fact that you were all along. Everything. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you next week. Thank you.